Hey guys, it's Ness and we're going to react to the worst WWE games downgrades ever, made by the Great One. We all know that SmackDown vs. Raw were one of the best games of all time. There's also good games like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain and SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. Throughout the years, yes, WWE made one of the best games during the time period of somewhere Attitude Era to Ruthless Aggression Era. But once we get to the PG era, after 2K11, basically that once we get to WWE 2K12, it was one of the, I would say, it went alright, but it went downhill for sure. There are some WWE 2K games that are great, but nothing can beat SBR for sure. I remember that I played SBR, the first SBR in 2005, 6, 7, 8. I didn't play 2009, but 10 and 11, I played those games and it was great. Especially that SBR 2008 were featured the best, I could say one of the best GMO, despite that the roster was a few. In 2011, though, the Road to WrestleMania was one of the best features that they made. It's basically like WWE in GTA. But overall, it was great, especially that Road to WrestleMania has some great storylines. And other games like season mode, you can pick one wrestler, and that wrestler will be your main character throughout the series. And not gonna lie, it was fun, especially. So let's get to it to this video.
I grew up playing wrestling video games, for better or worse. Burn it. Burn this garbage right now. What do you mean, Triple H? People, I didn't have a console. I was stuck playing this garbage. Anyway, I've seen all the ups, I've seen all the downs. I've seen the crazy physics, I've seen the crazy physics. I've heard so what if you can see. I've heard blow my mind. Blow my mind. Blow my cup. But no matter what, people, no matter what, I'm always looking forward to that next WWE video game, expecting that this certain charm will be brought back. People, I love wrestling video games, but I hate that we don't get that big leap from a previous wrestling video game. Every SmackDown vs. Raw game felt so different from each other. And now, even though the gameplay is really good, it's just like any other sports game where you basically get a big update. And that is a one big WWE video game downgrade from moi. Where I asked you for specific WWE video game downgrades. Could be anything. Could be Randy Orton going from his normal pose to doing this as the cover star of the game. We all know Randy does that, you know. Let's check it out. The roster downgrade from SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 to 2008 was terrible. Even the legends were downsized. I mean, not gonna lie, that is actually pretty bad. Here's the thing with SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. I personally love the game. And that's...
Same, I love the game as well, but the problem is that, well, you got three brands, right? SmackDown, Raw, and ECW. And the problem is that you get less the roster. That depends on how it fits in. Now, some people would say, oh, it's good, no problem. But overall, it was a great game. Especially, like, everything in GM mode, especially, like, to increase popularity, all that, to balance the morale, and at the same time, to make sure that your roster isn't injured if you use them in high profile matches. So yeah, it was a great match. It was a great game for sure, but the roster was one of the things that kind of threw off for a bit because of the three brands.
It's mostly because of general manager mode, and I'm gonna be honest, I was young. The loading screens, man. The loading screens went hard. But for a game that had a general manager mode with three brands, the roster sucked.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, but to be fair, all I needed back then was rated RKO. Don't get me wrong, I loved playing Road to WrestleMania as a kid, but nothing beats GM mode. The more I look back, the more I love Road to WrestleMania. The storylines were absolutely wild, even those that could actually happen in real life, I absolutely loved it. Like SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 did something really revolutionary back then. WWE meets GTA?
Yep. It was like WWE GTA for sure, 2011. 2010 is like, a regular, you could argue, almost like a season mode, but added some type of way to the character that you will play for the road to WrestleMania. Overall, the fact that 2011 was great, that's the one that I kind of think to myself that, yep, that game for sure was the best road to WrestleMania because you got good storylines and at the same time there's also different options and things to do in order to unlock features like you could argue you could have your another match at WrestleMania which is a hidden character that you need to beat in order to unlock which is good, but overall I really like the Road to WrestleMania 2011. 10 was okay. 9 I didn't play, but I know that 9 was the beginning. But you know how good it was when they started to add it. But it's kind of sad that they took GMO because GMO was the reason that people are playing, especially.
Expectations were high. Expectations were high, but still. The thing why I love modes like GM is because it keeps you playing, you're in control. People, there's a reason why I'm a mark, I'm a wrestling fan. I like this imaginary shit. I like to create my own story in video games and
Just like Booker mode, like in Wrestling Empire, or back then Wrestling Revolution by Matt Dickey. Like, you became the booker or GM for the show. It's like that. Most of us like that. And again, I do get it that they want to change it up. Road to WrestleMania was it's good, especially 2011. But GM mode was the icing on the cake, or you could say the cherry on top of the game itself.
my career in 2K16 and WWE 2K19 to my rise in 2K22 plus the story mode in 2K22 and later fell short, and I don't know, just like a fever dream. 2K19 had the perfect story mode, mixing it with 2K16's career mode would be the perfect career mode in my opinion. Okay, look, objectively, the current career modes are better. I understand. We have the cutscenes, we have the voiceovers, we have the actual story, everything happens for a reason, I understand. Legitimately a more polished game mode. And this is a part where I need to compliment 2K15, 16, 17. I can't. I honestly can't. Like, that's in theory what I would like to see from a career mode in WWE video games, just controlling my shit, getting into rivals, winning a championship I want to win, but the mode sucked. To this day, the perfect WWE season mode is Here Comes the Pain. You pick a superstar, you get to choose what you want to do, you can ask for title shots, Shut Your Mouth also fits in that category. With AI being so big nowadays, I hope they can actually do something like that. All they need to do right now is give us scripts and AI could read it. It's gonna sound like shit, but come on, I want freedom. Going from 2K14 to 2K15, 16, 17 on the PS3, oh, that is a given. Once they eventually went to next gen, all these games were just skin updates basically. You were playing the same video game with the same old game modes. Well, pretty much like right now, kinda. Dude, they need to move to PS5. Ditch the PS4, man. I don't know if it's just me, but the titles look worse in newer games because of the lighting. Oh, I have a lot to say about titles. SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, love the game, but look at these tiny-ass championships presented by Toys R Us. Oh, dog shit. Oh my god. Absolutely horrendous. I complained about that when I was a kid, but we got WWE 12, the championship started looking really, really good. Okay, so we fixed the size of it. Size matters. But look at these championships now. I can't see the gold pop. It's like one of the most important things in pro wrestling, championships, and they look kinda mid. And here's what's crazy. I've seen mods, like people creating this shit, and it looks absolutely amazing. And I hate when that happens. You know, on one hand, I can appreciate that people who like these video games can do something really, really good, and a bunch of talented people. But on the other hand, you're like, okay, it seems like the developers don't give a shit. This has been missing in all of wrestling programming, not just games. But the SmackDown vs. Raw soundtracks hit different till SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 at least. Well, you can't say at least because SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 had the Superstar soundtrack. Oh, stand by.
Yeah, I think 2011 has the Superstars team track. I remember CM Punk, this Firebirds, his first theme song. You know, also Jack Swagger's theme song. Right now, his name is Jack Hanger. I don't know if I get right, but Jack Swagger's theme song. It was great. Then you added other theme songs that are basically entrance themes, but back then they added songs from other bands where they kind of license with it, and it's way better. Like, to me, my favorite soundtrack list of WWE games, especially in SPR, I would say 2007, because it has a lot of great themes, and overall it's way better. You can argue that there's a debate that '06 has the best soundtrack list, or '05, but overall, '07 was the one for sure.
Oh, stand by. Oh my god, this is so good. This is so good. Animal I have become 3 days grace. I became a huge fan because of this video game, man. Crazy stuff. This, from Here Comes the Pain to SmackDown vs. Raw. Well, I'm glad it eventually picked up with SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. That was a great game. SmackDown vs. Raw was actually pretty cool as well. At least it was different. We were playing a different video game, but I get it, you had less freedom. There was a reason why SmackDown Here Comes the Pain is probably the greatest video game of all time. Wrestling video game. The removal of intergender wrestling. So here's my take on that. I never gave a shit at all. I play Universe Mode, GM Mode, all that stuff, so it doesn't really concern me. But it's not like I have some kind of a point to make about that. I just don't give a shit. It's a video game. I want to beat up children. Let me beat up... What the fuck? From SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 to WWE 12. Still a good game, but yes, unfortunately. You know what's crazy to me? I played SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 with my brother like a couple of weeks ago. It still looks so damn good. It's crazy. Them boys were sweating in that game, man. Them boys were sweating. Removal of Create a Story Mode. Oh, people have been bitching for years now, and I was like, why? It was cool. I didn't get that back then. I didn't have the internet on my Xbox, so I didn't understand, but you could download these stories, man. Ryback gets pregnant. And you have these kind of, written stories and shit with cutscenes. Awesome. I killed Dean. You're welcome. Now give me my drugs before I kill you guys. You see what I'm talking about? Selfish mode. Content, man. I would make so. This is like, that's my thing, right, when it comes to YouTube. Dumbass shit. This is made for me. I would make the best fucking videos on YouTube. Selection screens. I used to enjoy the photos of the wrestlers spread out in little squares. It brought uniqueness to the WWE games. Yeah, it used to look like Mortal Kombat, I believe. I agree. But here's another take I have. I prefer in-game models over real renders. Well, nowadays not as much because you can upload custom photos, but back then it's like, yeah, I have a custom attire for Randy Orton, but now it's an in-game model instead of the actual render. Also, since now we can have custom renders, can I just use the same ass render for my custom attires? Why do I have to download Randy Orton instead of black trunks? Now it's red, so I have to download another render. Can I just use the same one? I don't give a shit. The weapon mechanica. Yep, 14 years ago it was better than it is right now. Crazy, right? Man, this game is so good. This game is so freaking good. Well, to be fair, I've played SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 recently, and it's a bit slow. The gameplay is a bit slow, but everything other than that, top notch. 2K18 to 2K19 Poor Lana. I think it looks good. Well, to be fair, it looks like she's on steroids. A little bit. She's on that testosterone treatment in this one.
Bruh.
Never forgiving them removing it, create a finisher. Yeah, but it was one of these things that you just play around and forget about, honestly. But it was fun, you know, creating, green mist to the face. The Rock's bottom. Ooh, look at that height. Boom. Of course. Vintage Rock, of course. Yeah, they're going for that realism. You know, they're going for realism. Which kind of sucks sometimes. At least give us the anime. I don't mind simulation. I love that, but give us updated animation.
I remember when you hit a finisher. I don't know any SPR. I think that was 08. I think, or somewhere the old games where you hit someone's finisher and they would what do you call this? They turn 360 like slow mo, and then I guess 360 or something, and then they hit the move. That was okay. I get it that now they just wanted to put some realism to the finishers, but I really love what it was back then. Again, like these were the good old days. Right now it's like, it is what it is, but that's how we used to love old games till now. Some people still playing the game back then than now because again, you know, right now you could play PSP and ROM hacks because basically, you know, most of the games that were made in SPR are all PSP in general. So yeah.
Make them look a bit more cool. Old GM mode is superior. I have a video to make about this. I was waiting for this for decades. I've made videos, but it's good, but something's missing. It's missing that creative control aspect, that imagination aspect. It's more like a card game in a way, and I hate that. You know, I hate that I keep getting disappointed by this mode. Graphics from 2K15 to 2K16. Oh, it happens all the time. The graphics get really good. Next year they get worse. Universe mode to 2K15's. WWE 12 had a very unreal universe mode in which you had number 1 contenders matches, promotional matches with special cutscenes, mystery opponent matches, and draft. The mode had gone through an entire overhaul in 15. I wish we could get something similar. Also, the UI, like I love the way this used to look. Like you see all your matches, you don't need to start the show. I love that. Very easy, lovely.
The for that one, I think SBR 2011 WWE Universe. That's how it all started. It was great that they added that feature because it's like, you know, because they already removed GM mode and then they add Road to WrestleMania. 2011's Road to WrestleMania was good, and they added the WWE universe, which is great. But throughout the years, they kind of improve it well, and yeah.
Lovely stuff. 2K15, yeah, it's still alright. Don't like the way it looks right now, honestly. Now, universe mode. Crazy, but I liked 2011's, even though it was very limited, but we had cutscenes. 12 is probably the best one, I agree. But the problem with this mode is, I've heard you can't change much because it breaks the game, so they fucked it up somehow. And they can't update it. Nowadays, you do get cutscenes, but you need to set them up, I believe. So it's like, what's the point? Can we just have that shit in GM mode instead? Well, anyway, people, let me know more in the comments below. WWE games are still great. I like them, but something's missing. It doesn't keep me playing, even though objectively the gameplay is best it's ever been. Honestly, it's just missing something.
So I guess that's all for the video. Again, there's some games that we used to love back then, but now it's like, hoping that the next few years, especially that we're in the Triple H era, hoping that WWE games will be better, hoping that they could add some features that's going to be benefited. But if it's still the same thing that is not good, you can still play the old games because it's, you know, right now it's wrong, but especially in SmackDown versus Raw. But overall, it's like it's one of the, you know, You could argue that most of the games now is like, meh, back then were goated for sure. But overall, all I can say is that yes, you can play whatever you want that you felt that is fine, but we all gonna know that there will be a game that is going to be great in any year, but there is some is a bit like questionable. So all I can say is that like the video from the great one and subscribe to his channel. Also like the video and subscribe to my channel as well as for future updates of new videos coming up. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.